This is my review of Mob Psycho 100. Okay, so it's the second season of Mob Psycho 100. If you guys don't remember, I took a break from this series to review Samurai Flamenco, which I did, and now I'm back to reviewing it. So, here we are. So, the episode starts off with Reagan taking a job from a guy who makes produce for a hobby, and it quickly becomes apparent that his fields have been haunted for a while. For a couple of years, according to him. And Reagan, realizing that the guy is short on money, and realizing that only he can solve the problem, agrees to take a third of his produce as payment. And then after ruling out any natural causes, Reagan and Mob begin to explore the spiritual side of things. And case in point, a spirit begins talking to them, and Mob attempts to exorcise it when it manifests itself as the Scarecrow. But then the actual spirit shows up, a spirit named Wriggle Wriggle, who's easily able to overpower Mob by using Reagan as a hostage, and also explains that it's been draining life energy from the fields to sustain itself, and that its plants can't be damaged because it's using plants as a shield. And Mob, realizing this, realizes that the spirit is probably controlling the plants, while also realizing that he can do it as well, and then sends a stronger signal through the plants to shut down Wriggle Wriggle's physical body, quote unquote. At which point the real deal shows up, which is actually just a skull. And Mob destroys his remains, and they get paid. So afterwards, Reagan claims that the reason he took produce as payment was because he wanted to take up gardening. But since the produce kind of got destroyed by the spirit, they kind of had to settle for a starter kit for a basic garden, which Reagan happily accepts and even tries to teach Mob how to grow stuff, and attempts to use his powers to actually grow some tomatoes. But upon realizing that they taste terrible, decides against it. And also he pays Mob with broccoli seeds. That becomes important much later. But meanwhile, Misato is still trying to help create a cult, her Psycho Helmet cult from the first season. She's still trying to cultivate that, and she knows that where Mob is, and that she will be able to one day have him lead the Psycho Helmet cult. But she also points out that he isn't really much of a leader, and is looking for an opportunity to bring that leadership part of him out. And she gets her wish when it turns out that Camaro, after the events of the first season and what he did, decides to retire as student council president, and that there's going to be an election. And it's also later revealed that he reruns for student council president so that he can make things right, and also so that if people want him back in office, even after all he did, there's an opportunity for them to do so. So yeah, upon realizing that student council president positions are open, and upon realizing that Mob has a thing for Tsubomi, Misato decides to convince him to run. So what she does is she realizes that he may have a chance with her if he's student council president, and also points out that if he's going to try and win the affection of a girl everybody likes, that would probably be the best way to do it. So the two train like crazy for however long it was, for the next couple of weeks or so, until it's time for them to all to give their speeches. The first three candidates go out, Camaro being the last one before Mob, but when Mob walks out on stage, everybody who knows him sits up and takes notice. Everybody has their own individual thoughts on what it means for Mob to run as student council president, and they're all very supportive of Mob now running for office. But the second Mob gets up to the stage, she freezes and stands there for a full 5 minutes like an idiot. So yeah, Mob comes in last, not surprisingly, and loses. However, there is a plus side to this, sort of. So after Mob loses his election, he finds a note in his locker from a girl named Emmy, and he meets her in the back of the school, and she asks him out. And then for the next week, he proceeds to walk her home every day after school. So Yeah, Mob is implied to have a girlfriend, but not really, because a week later it's revealed that he actually turned her down and walked her home anyway just to be polite to her. So they're not actually boyfriend and girlfriend, but to everybody else it feels like they are. But she also points out some other things that she's noticed while in her time with Mob over the last week. She points out that she notices that he kind of doesn't really have emotions, which we knew already, and that she noticed that he doesn't really seem to feel strongly about anything. So, and also in this time, she's also revealed that she writes novels in her spare time, and this is what kickstarted the conversation. He reads one of her novels after asking for over a week, and she eventually agrees, gives him the novel, but when she feels like he doesn't understand it, she takes it away and then starts talking to him about his emotions and all that stuff. And then she also reveals that she, in fact, lost a bet and asked him out because she lost a bet. And that she kind of didn't really feel anything for Mob, but because she lost a bet, she was forced to confess to Mob. And when Mob turned her down, she was worried that her friends would laugh at her. But Mob walked her home every day for a week, so it didn't really pan out all too well for them. But anyway, after saying her piece, she leaves and goes home, and Mob stays behind and watches the sunset for a couple of hours before deciding to head home after thinking through some things. At which point he runs into Emmy, and her friends are quickly established to be kind of bullies. They tease her about her novel and all that. They tease her about her writing, and then they proceed to rip up the novel that she wrote, the one that she gave to Mob, who has been watching this whole thing play out, and he intervenes and tries to piece together her novel bit by bit, pointing out that if they don't want it, that he will definitely take it, pointing out that it's important to him because he does like things, as he points out, and he does want to keep something that he actually genuinely likes. And Emmy, moved by his speech, actually decides to come down there and help him by actually helping him pick up the pieces. And her friends, dumbfounded, quickly leave the scene. But it quickly becomes apparent that they're losing an uphill battle because Emmy and Mob has this big pile and then it just gets blown away in the wind. And Emmy asks what they're even doing. But then Mob responds by using his psychic powers to piece her entire novel back together, revealing that he is in fact an Esper. And she thanks him for putting her novel back together. Unbeknownst to either of them, Tsubomi watches this entire thing play out and remarks to herself that was actually a pretty smooth move on Mob's part. So, yeah, I don't know how long Tsubomi was there watching them, but it quickly becomes apparent that she took an interest in Mob's relationship. So, yeah, it's clear that she at the very least is happy that Mob is trying to pursue romantic relationships. How that's going to play out in the series is not known to me because the series kind of doesn't really end with Mob ever actually winding up with a girl. There's reasons for that, but yeah, Mob kind of just never winds up having a girlfriend for real. Spoilers, but yeah. And then after that incident, Mob goes home. He tells Dimple all about what happens. And Emmy goes home and, inspired by what she saw Mob do, decides to write her own novel based on his life. So canonically, she wrote, or at least is implied to have written, Mob Psycho 100 in universe. So, yeah, that's the implication there. And also in this episode, it is explained that Emmy has some self-confidence issues, as it's established that her friends kind of don't really treat her all that well, and she just kind of goes along with it because she can't stand up for herself. So yeah, Emmy, I think after seeing that this event has started to change for the better and has started to grow as a person, and is now trying to develop some self-confidence. So yeah, overall, this was a kind of a little mini arc, but I did enjoy it. It was a good little mini arc because it's a great way to reintegrate people into the series. It's just back to its slice of life style that it had before. Before the events of Claw and any of that doesn't last very long, but yeah, This episode in general is just a great way to start off the first season. And, well, second season, first episode. I get confused, but anyway, it's a good way to start off the second season. I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys watched it when it came out and enjoyed it as well. So, if you did indeed enjoy it when it came out, then what did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks that are my way of saying thanks. So be sure to check that out in the description below as well. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!